I've been living in Southeast Asia for 10 years now, and I want to go over some of the reasons why I think it's a good place to live if you're a high net worth individual. It's often been popular with digital nomads, but now I've seen it's been increasingly popular with high net worth individuals looking to move to the region. And I want to go over some of my personal reasons why I think it's a good place to live, either for part of the year or for all the year. Firstly, Southeast Asia has some great investment opportunities. If you're looking to buy property or invest in stocks and shares in frontier markets, I think there's few better places than Southeast Asia. I've been a big fan of places if you're looking to buy property in Cambodia for a long time now. I think that it's maybe a bit past the boat on in a lot of places in Cambodia, but you still have great opportunities to invest there if you're looking to get into a local exchange, for example, invest in local stocks, Vietnam, etc. There's some great investment opportunity. It's the only place where you have a kind of frontier, develop and emerging markets all in one region. Great place for if you're looking for investment opportunities. If you're on the ground, I think it really does help with what's out there, getting to know um, the investments that are out there. It gives you a different perspective of what's happening than say, let's say Western media. I really do think you get a different perspective on kind of regional outlook and that if you're in the region. Second is safety. Now, if you've seen in the US, Europe, there's a lot of crime. There is certain places in Southeast Asia where the safety index is quite low. For example, the Philippines. I've lived in quite a lot of countries and I've never felt unsafe in any of the countries that I've lived in, including the Philippines. There is some minor kind of robbery that does go on in places like Vietnam, to a lesser extent Malaysia, but it's very minor. Obviously, you've got Singapore that's kind of ranks at the top with places in the Middle East like the UAE, Qatar, etc. But all in all, it's a very safe region. I don't think you'd have any queries in safety if you're living in the region. Third is banking. Now, you've got some great banking places in Singapore, and if not technically in the region, but in Hong Kong as well, if you're looking to get away from the West. But also lesser known places that you may not have come across. Thailand, for example. People use it, especially in ASEAN. I've got clients, ASEAN clients, Burmese, Cambodian, Filipinos, Indonesian, that actually like to bank if they're not banking in Singapore, in Bangkok, Malaysia. Again, it's got some safe banks there that are pretty systemic. They have no problem putting money in the banks in these places. But particularly Singapore, it's a great banking location. I find it one of the best places in the world to bank. So that's another reason why you may want to look at being there if you want to go fly into Singapore for a day, go for a bank meeting, etc., and then fly out. You do have that option, or if you want to live in Singapore. Next is the connectivity. Now, this isn't in all regions of Southeast Asia, but if you're particularly looking at one of the main cities, Bangkok, KL, Singapore, uh, you do have some great connectivity in the region. You've got low-cost airlines. You've also got high-class airlines, and a lot of them Singapore Airlines, Emirates Airlines, Malaysian Airlines is actually a good airlines. If you're flying in Thailand, Thailand Airlines is okay. The connectivity here is great. It's very affordable. And you can get places pretty seamlessly. For example, I've got clients that kind of live in Phuket but work out of Singapore. They go into Singapore every week. They say it's great going into Changi. They can get from the airport to Singapore or to Marina in about 45 minutes, do meetings, go back all in one day. Good place for connectivity. Next thing is the people. People in Southeast Asia are generally friendly people. They're kind, they're welcoming, they're just happy people. It gives you a good sense, a good vibe. And I found when you're living in the region and people are happy, unlike say a lot of the West where people maybe not so happy. They've got inflation, they're finding things hard. Um, Taxes are going up, things aren't working. Um, People are nice. in here. And even if they don't have a lot of money, you still find very genuine people, mostly in Southeast Asia. So I think that's a good plus for the region. Next one is residency options. Now, we've gone through a lot on the website about residency options, but I do think you do have some of the best options in the world in Southeast Asia, with the probably the exception of Dubai. I think Dubai is very opening place and probably tops a lot of it. But you do have it all in Southeast Asia, from the ease of Thailand with the new digital nomad visa. If you want to be treated well, you've got the elite visa in Thailand. You've got options for citizenship even in Cambodia. Not that you'd really want citizenship in Cambodia for too much reasons other than to invest in property. Um, You've got the Cambodia My Second Home, you've got the Malaysia My Second Home option. If you've got a bit more money and you're just looking for the best option, you've got Singapore. Philippines has a program. And they're constantly looking to involve them as well. Malaysia and Thailand both have a digital nomad program. So they do have a lot of residency programs. Indonesia, sorry, as well, has one for Bali. They're particularly looking if you for investments in either property or just put some money in a bank in Southeast Asia. So it's relatively straightforward in terms of that if you're looking for residency. One of the downsides is a lot of them don't lead to citizenship, or it's very difficult to get citizenship in a lot of these Southeast Asian countries. You can, and particularly in Thailand, for example, under extreme circumstances. I've known quite a number of people get um, Thai citizenship, but it's a long process. It's not easy, and it's only on certain individuals. But the next kind of element that you have in Southeast Asia is a friendly tax regime. You've got places obviously like Singapore that's low tax, it is increasing, but if you're living in Singapore and paying tax, I think you get what you pay for. Unlike the West, where you're paying a lot of tax and the roads are still broken, the hospital waiting times are still waiting forever to get to the hospital. I think in Singapore, you are getting what you pay for, and it's a fair trade-off on that. But also, you've got some territorial taxations like Thailand. It's changed in 2024. But again, if you're living here part-time, and not bringing a lot of money into the country, it's not really going to affect you too much. We've spoken to a lot of people that just say, I just want my basic living accounts covered for in Thailand. There's ways to pay low tax on that. There's also ways that we've talked about before where you can get the gift tax. If you've got a Thai partner, for example, you can gift it to a spouse or even a friend, as well, up to 20 million baht for a family member. There's ways to get around it. Also, it's on a remittance basis. So technically, if you don't bring it into the country, it's not taxed. There's ways to work around that as well. Malaysia's got a friendly tax system. It's looking, I was at a conference last week in Malaysia talking about the tax and the macroeconomics perspective of Malaysia. It is looking to change in 2027, or it's subject to get reviewed at least in 2027. What that'll do is they may look at something similar to what Thailand has. Again, if you're not bringing a lot of money into the country, if you're quite wealthy, it's not going to have too much of an effect on you. So there's ways to structure it where you're not paying too much tax in these countries. So I think from a tax perspective, they can also be very friendly as well. Next one is the healthcare. Healthcare in a lot of these places, particularly in Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, somewhat the Philippines. I've not been a big fan of the Philippines hospitals, but I've been in, um, but particularly in Thailand, you've got Bumrungrad, in Singapore and Malaysia, you have got great hospitals at a fraction of the cost of what you do in the West. So it's a big advantage. You get a lot of medical tourism coming from Europe, the Middle East, in this part of the world, because it is so good and it's so cheap. Final one, maybe a bit of a controversial one that people may be a bit subjective to, but the weather, I personally like it. I know what you're going to get. The humidity may not be for everyone. You can get certain parts of Southeast Asia, Hanoi, for example, up in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, where it is a bit cooler and you don't have the humidity all year round. But for me, it's a nice place. You know what you're going to get. The weather's usually pretty nice. It's hot, it's humid, and unlike say places like the UK, you don't have kind of grey skies for 20 days a month, you get a lot of sunshine. So they're my top reasons why you may want to look at Southeast Asia if you're a wealthy individual. Again, it's one of those places where it's attracting a lot of wealthy clients now. The residency permits in these places have been going up. You look at the Thai Elite visa, the MH2 visa. So it may be something you may want to be consider now in structuring kind of your investments around that to work tax effectively in this region.